What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to jump in and talk a little bit about SMGs in Destiny 2. So I want to go over some really good SMGs that you can pick up in the game. This category of weapons is a little bit different, or it feels a bit different to me, because, you know, a lot of the scout rifles, assault rifles are all pretty good, but I feel like with SMGs there are kind of a select handful that are really good, and then it kind of drops off a little bit. That's just my opinion, but they can be very, very effective weapons, and there are some really interesting examples for PvE and PvP stuff. Of course, SMGs in general are very close range weapons. They're not designed to compete at auto rifle ranges or beyond. And there's kind of a sweet spot really as to where you want to be and how you want to use them, your engagement distance and stuff like that. A quick thing to note, you can get counterbalance mods for weapons for your armor pieces. You can get different kinetic and energy counterbalance mods that go on different pieces depending on your class. One thing to note for the hunter though, I believe they can have them on the gauntlets for energy weapons as well as on the class item. So you can actually stack two different counterbalance mods on the hunter as far as I'm aware, and these counterbalance mods, you know, will be most effective on weapons with very, very high recoil. Anyway, let's jump in and take a look at some of the SMGs here. Firstly, we have the Adjudicator. This is from Trials of the Nine. It's a precision frame weapon, so the weapon's recoil pattern is more predictably vertical. We have chambered compensator, corkscrew rifling, and polygonal rifling. I've gone with corkscrew rifling because it increases range and stability as well as handling speed, which is always good. We've got slideways, partially reloads the weapon's magazine and temporarily boosts handling and stability upon sliding. We also have hip fire grip, ergonomic grip that increases accuracy and stability when firing from the hip, and then finally dynamic sway reduction. When holding down the trigger, the weapon's sway reduction system boosts its accuracy over time. So overall, some pretty good bonuses. This is a 600 round per minute SMG, so it's actually in the lower rate of fire class, so it will have slightly higher impact. They tend to have higher range and handling stability stats and things like that. Generally versus the really high rate of fire SMGs, obviously the recoil is a little bit less intense on these weapons. This is of course a kinetic SMG. Most of the SMGs in Destiny are actually energy weapons. So if you want to use this, you know, you may be looking at having an assault, pulse or scout rifle in your energy slot. But in general, inside of PvP in particular, this is a really solid SMG. It handles very nicely overall. It's got, you know, fairly good stability, and the recoil isn't too intense on this weapon. With this being the lower rate of fire class, it does have a bit more range. Generally, you know, you'll be able to stretch your engagements a couple more feet with this thing versus a 900 rate of fire SMG, but you're still really going to want to be in that optimal range for SMGs in the game. But if you're kind of team shotting and pushing up to people, this is a really, really good weapon. So especially if you're kind of running with a group of friends or a clan or whatever, it's going to do really well. Overall, I think this is one of the best SMGs in the Crucible, and it's one you should definitely try out if you pick one up. Up next, let's take a look at an energy weapon. So we have Minotaur. Of course, this is a pretty good SMG. So it's a lightweight frame weapon, superb handling, move faster with the weapon equipped. We have fluted barrel, so ultra light barrel for increased handling and stability. We've got alloy magazine, faster reloads when the mag is empty, and finally Mida synergy. The weapon grants speed benefits when Mida multi-tool is also equipped. So if you are a fan of the Mida multi-tool, naturally this is a pretty good pairing right here. You've got a ton of kind of movement bonuses. You're going to run quicker, you're going to strafe easier, which is always good. But even without being paired, the Minotaur is a lightweight frame weapon, and being able to kind of strafe a little bit as you fire SMGs is definitely beneficial, so that really kind of works out well for this weapon. This is the higher rate of fire class, so it's 900 rounds per minute. It's got 37 in the magazine, which is pretty decent. Stability though is very, very solid on this weapon, and so is the handling stat, so all around it feels really good to use. And for kind of 900 round per minute SMGs, I personally think this is the most comfortable one that you're going to find. It's very easy to control recoil and kind of land your crits. Of course, you're going to take people down so much quicker if you're hitting headshots, so this thing is really, really solid. Again, the added bonuses for lightweight, whether you're kind of sprinting and pushing at someone or whether you're strafing or trying to back up, you know, generally it's really, really good. And having mobility when you're using SMGs is pretty important because you are kind of moving around obstacles in close range. And naturally, this makes the Minotaur really, really good in PvP. It's also a solid weapon in PvE stuff, you know, high handling, pretty decent reload speed, so you're going to get reloads nice and quick. Again, the way the weapon feels, the stability and recoil is always beneficial. You can land your crits and do plenty of damage. There's not much more I can say. The Minotaur is just a really solid SMG. I wanted to take a look at the exotic offering right here. So we have the Risk Runner. The exotic bonuses for this one are Arc Conductor. When taking arc damage, the weapon becomes more powerful and resists incoming arc damage. Kills will extend the time in this overcharged state, and this also pairs with Superconductor, However, when Arc Conductor is active, shots fired have the chance to become chain lightning and will return ammo to the magazine. So very, very powerful kind of pairing right there. We have also Arrowhead Brake for a lightly vented barrel, which helps control recoil, increases handling speed, extended mag, greatly increased mag size but reloads slower. And we also have short action stock, which increases handling speed. So overall, it's a pretty snappy SMG. It's got decent stability and range stats. It just kind of glide a bit when you fire the weapon. I personally find this not the most comfortable SMG to use, and that's one of the reasons I don't tend to use it inside of PvP, on top of the fact that it's not that common that you're kind of going to benefit from its exotic bonuses. Inside of PvE stuff though, when you are using these exotic bonuses, it's really, really beneficial. As soon as you take arc damage, the weapon is going to essentially reload itself, have the chance to chain lightning to nearby enemies, and it also reduces your arc damage that's incoming from enemies. So it allows you to actually stand in the fight, you know, and take down a bunch of stuff without having to reload, without being overly vulnerable, as long as those bonuses are doing their thing. When these bonuses are kind of active, this is without a doubt the best SMG for any PvE content in the game. Obviously, it takes its bonuses, or it takes a lot of influence from the Xalo Supercell auto rifle from Destiny 1, and that was pretty much in the same situation. When it's doing its thing, it's about as good, you know, as that class of weapon can be. Obviously, these bonuses won't always be active, so with this weapon, to a degree, it's kind of, you know, knowing where you're going to be able to take advantage of those bonuses inside of nightfalls and things like that. With prism modifiers, obviously, when arc damage comes up, this thing's going to go absolutely ham. So it's a really, really good weapon when it does its thing. However, when those bonuses aren't active, it's by no means my favorite SMG. I personally feel like the Minotaur handles so much better, including in PvE stuff. The handling on Risk Runner makes it not very appealing for me in the Crucible either. It's really a weapon with a specific use in mind. I don't think that necessarily de-ranks this weapon though, because of how well it can do when it's doing what it's supposed to do, right? So Risk Runner is absolutely one to try out in PvE stuff. Let's go back to one of the other kinetic SMGs here, the Antiope-D. This is a Hake SMG, and it's probably the best SMG inside of the Crucible right now, in my opinion. A lot of people have also spoken about this weapon recently. My friend Cool Guy on YouTube actually made a pretty fantastic video about this weapon. If you're into weapon stuff and Crucible stuff in particular, you should definitely check out his channel. He makes some absolutely awesome content, which I will link in the description below. But Antiope is a precision frame weapon. Recoil pattern is more predictably vertical, which is always good. We've got GB iron and then SC holo sights right here, so a couple of different options. I personally go with GB iron because it keeps the handling speed nice and high, although you will get a range boost with the holo sight, which is always good. We've got ricochet rounds though, which increases stability and increases range, as well as allowing the rounds to ricochet off hard surfaces. We've got tactical mag. The weapon has multiple tactical improvements, increasing stability, reload speed, and magazine size, so very, very good options here. And finally, an option that you don't really see on many SMGs, kill clip. Reloading after a kill grants increased damage. Now this thing is also in the 600 round per minute archetype, so it's higher impact, lower rate of fire. You're going to see relatively good range on this thing. The stability and handling stats are decent, you know, they're not bad by any means. But again, much like the Adjudicator, which is in the same class, this is a lower rate of fire SMG, so naturally handling and kind of recoil control stability isn't as much of a concern. And that's one of the big things for this weapon. It just handles very, very well. It's relatively easy to hit your crits. It is a Hake weapon, so it comes with some of that kind of intrinsic Hake feel, you know. It feels like one of the Hake assault rifles to a degree, you know, apart from the fact that it is a higher rate of fire weapon. So if you've used the Hake gunsmith weapons, you know, in the past in Destiny 1 as well, you kind of know how this weapon's going to handle. Having said that though, the handling, you know, in general is really good. Reloading after a kill will increase your damage, so obviously if you're playing against multiple targets, this is a really, really huge bonus. And it's very rare, like I said, on SMGs. You're going to see the highest damage really that any SMG can do inside of PvP when kill clip is active, so obviously you're just going to shred through enemies if you're hitting those crits. So really good stats, feels good to use, great bonuses. I really do support the theory that this is the best SMG for the Crucible right now. If you pick one up and you like SMGs in PvP, definitely try this weapon out. So earlier in the video I said that kind of there are a handful that really stand out as being pretty good weapons, and then it kind of drops off. Now most of the other SMGs in the game I personally don't rate all that much. I don't want to completely bash on them, maybe I'm just not that great with SMGs, but there is the Viced Death Adder, which I actually think is probably a better weapon. weapon. I don't have one right now, but recoil direction is 95, so it's very, very vertical recoil. So if you can control vertical recoil, you're going to do very well with this weapon. It has decent aim assist, a great handling stat with fair range and stability stats. It's another lightweight frame weapon, so you can move faster with the weapon while it's equipped. It has steady rounds, so it's optimized for recoil control, increasing stability, decreasing range at the same time. It does have armor piercing rounds, so they do extra damage to combatant shields and over penetrate targets, which also boosts your range, and then hip fire grip, ergonomic grip that increases accuracy and stability when firing from the hip. And I think in the kind of 900 round per minute class, this is likely to be one of the better SMGs outside of the Minotaur. Out of the two Soros SMGs, the Foggy Notion is probably the better weapon. This comes with adaptive frame. We also have different kind of sight options right there. We've got ricochet rounds to boost stability and range, as well as allowing rounds to actually ricochet. Flared magwell so you can reload faster, which also boosts stability. And then Grave Robber, melee kills will reload a portion of the magazine. This has all around better stats than the Resonance 42, which is the other SMG from Soros, which is a very similar weapon. They're both energy weapons as well, obviously coming with slightly different bonuses, but I would rate Foggy Notion higher. The Phosphorus MG4 from Omelon is probably the better option from Omelon SMGs. Great recoil direction again, decent stability and handling. Stats overall are better than the alternative from Omelon, but the main reason I'd rate it higher is that it has bonuses of dynamic sway reduction, alloy magazine, steady rounds, or phase magazine, which actually allows you to decrease the rate of fire while bumping up the damage, and that's something definitely worth playing around with on this thing. You've also got some pretty nice sight options. So I guess Death Adder, Foggy Notion, and Phosphorus are kind of my honourable mentions for SMGs, but Risk Runner for PvE stuff, the Mida Minotaur for a mix of both, and then Adjudicator and finally Antiope-D would be my absolute best SMGs in Destiny 2. Of course, that's just my opinion though, guys, so I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comment section. Definitely drop a comment and let us know which SMGs you enjoy using for whatever activities. If you have enjoyed this video though, a like is very much appreciated below. If you're new to this channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. If you want to save 10% on Control Freak products or anything else in the Control Freak store, then use code Houndish at checkout or use the link in the description below and you can save yourself a few bucks. But for now, I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I'll catch you very soon.